Hello and welcome back. It is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and it's really a very nice day. It's a little bit chilly, but it's cloudy. I just came in from outside. I was hoping to do this video outside, but the clouds are so bad that there's just not enough light to really make the video possible. Anyway, having a great Thanksgiving week. I was fortunate enough to be able to take vacation this whole week. I did have to work on Monday. Something came up that I had to go in for, and so technically it's not the whole week. But yeah, it's Saturday, and my wife's visiting her family, and so I'm here at home ignoring the list of things that she asked me to do. So that instead I can take a first shot at smoking the LL Bean pipe, which you saw me restore in a recent set of videos. And I have not smoked this yet. I wanted to share it with you all and let you know my impressions as they're happening. You'll remember this pipe has the very interesting stinger slash filter, and in case you didn't watch those videos, I'll see if I can show you this. It's basically a two-part. Let's see if I can get that tube to focus. It's a two-part system where there's a metal tube with a slot in the bottom of it, and then a bent-over pipe cleaner that lies beneath that slot. And the theory is that that's going to soak up all the moisture. The moisture is going to condense on the metal tube, drop through the slot, and get absorbed by the pipe cleaner. So we'll see how that goes. I can tell you just from trying to draw through this that it's a tight draw, and I have packed this, but even before I packed it, I tested it, and it takes some work to draw through this. So I've got a feeling I'm not going to be using the filter very often. I have packed the pipe, and in it I have Carter Hall. Can you tell I like Carter Hall? This is the large economy tub. Carter Hall is a great tobacco. I mean, it's certainly not a great premium blend. It's an over-the-counter drugstore blend, but it's just a nice burly blend. It's got a little bit of a light topping on it. I don't know if you know the story or not, but good old George Burns was once asked what his favorite food was, and he replied ketchup, which seems like an odd choice. And when he was asked, well, why ketchup, he said, because the great thing about ketchup is no matter what you put it on, it tastes like ketchup. So he could basically cover up foods he didn't like. And Carter Hall is similar in a sense. It's very mellow, and it tends to mellow out blends that are a bit harsh. So I will often mix Carter Hall, maybe just add in 10% Carter Hall to a blend that I'm not particularly enjoying, and it can turn it into something really nice. You can go 50-50 in some cases and still have a very enjoyable blend that doesn't taste like Carter Hall or the original blend that you didn't like. Plus, it's just a great tobacco on its own. I enjoy it personally. I like burley, and I like it a lot. I usually smoke a bowl of Carter Hall in the morning, so I'm at least 7 days a week having some. And that 14-ounce tub, I buy about one of those a year, and it's not bad. It's actually not cheap. If you compare the price per ounce to premium tobaccos, it's not any less expensive, really. It just has a reputation for being cheap. So anyway, bowl is packed, and we will light her up and see what we get. So maybe I can get my lighter to light. Well, tastes like Carter Hall. The draw isn't that bad, but it's definitely giving resistance. I should have had a tamper ready for this. I remember when I was first learning to smoke a pipe, people would talk about the first and second light, and it was really considered part of the process that in order to properly light the pipe, you had to light it once, which was the charring light, and that would go out usually, and then you could tamp it and relight. And if you talk too much, relight again. There we go. That is different. So anyway, when I first started pipe smoking, I learned this, and I practiced it for a bit, and then I realized that I didn't have to do the second light, and I was thinking, wow, I must be really good at this. You know, I'm some sort of expert because I can skip right over that second light. And it you know, took me about 6 months to realize that actually that is kind of important, because you're compressing down that top layer, you're sort of preparing the surface, and you're creating more of a I'm trying to think of how to best explain this, but the way the air is drawn through, since you've sort of created a bit of a covering, it's similar to when you put your fingers over the top of the bowl and draw in, which can often save you from relighting. So that charring light and the slight tamp on top is actually an important part of being able to enjoy the pipe. At least in my opinion. And opinions in pipe smoking are numerous. And all that matters is that you enjoy what you're doing. This is nice. This is really, it's a difficult draw. It's not a difficult draw. You just know that you're drawing. It's not a wide open bore, but it's got, it's producing a very dry smoke. And it's interesting, I can really, when I smoke Carter Hall, I normally don't pick up the topping that much. But for some reason it's coming through quite a bit here. That is nice. So the reason I chose Carter Hall for this is not simply because it's the first smoke of the day and I do that. It's actually a great break-in tobacco, so it burns well, burns really well. I've never had an issue with finishing a bowl of Carter Hall. It burns straight down to the heel. It burns relatively clean and just helps build that cake pretty quickly. And if you remember, when we cleaned this, I reamed it a bit too far, so there is some bare wood in the chamber that I want to cake over very quickly. So that's the reason for choosing this. Other guys like to use some Virginias. The McClellan 5100 is one that's often recommended, and I'm sure they work well. One of the arguments there has to do with the sugar content of the Virginias, and apparently that helps build cake. I don't know. I've also heard people doing everything from coating the inside of the bowl with honey to spitting on their finger and rubbing it around the inside. I don't do any of that. I just smoke a couple bowls of Carter Hall and then I'm good. To me, the more important thing is not to so much worry about cake build, because it will build as long as you're careful the first, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times you smoke the pipe. As soon as you get that initial layer of carbonization on the wood, it will build cake. The bigger challenge is maintaining the cake and not letting it get out of control. So anyway, your mileage as always may vary, but that's what works for me. Gonna have to relight, I'm talking a bit much. But I tell you, this is actually a very nice smoke. I'm getting a slight off taste, and I don't know if that's coming from the briar, because there is the bare wood, or maybe the pipe cleaner. I just don't know. But it's not bad. It's not off-putting, and boy, the flavor of the Carter Hall is really coming through with this. I'm impressed. For those of you who watched the restore video, there were a few things about this, in particular in the stem and the way the airway is cut in the stem, that made me think this was going to require a lot of modification for it to smoke well. But this is going really nicely. And the smoke is very dry. Now, of course, I haven't smoked this pipe without the filter in place. I'll do that just to have the comparison, but Yeah, I like it. I would recommend, if you have the opportunity, to get an LL Bean pipe with the Smokemaster insert, or maybe a gray ball with the Smokemaster insert, or perhaps, was it Briar Craft that originally made the Smokemasters? They're worth a shot. Time will tell if I maintain with this, because there is a draw issue. It's not what I'm used to. But I think, all things considered, it's smoking nicely, and it is a lot drier than I expected, especially given that there's a stinger in this pipe. So what I'm going to do is I'll pause you, and I'll enjoy this and finish it up, and then I'll bring you back and let you know how the filter fared. So see you in a minute, or well, see you in more than a minute. Well, time has passed, as you can see. I'm onto a corn cob now and enjoying some Cornell and Deal 3 Friars. I almost said 3 Flyers. Very nice tobacco. So I finished the Carter Hall and the LL Bean pipe, and it smoked fine. The walls did get quite hot at times, and that surprised me because they're fairly thick walls. I wasn't really expecting that. I don't know if that's got something to do with the fact that the airway is occluded by that filter system, and maybe it's drawing more rapidly at the bottom. Also keep in mind the air hole was actually exiting at the rear of the chamber, so that might have had something to do with it. But I slowed down the cadence, and it cooled off, and everything seemed to go really well. The tobacco burned all the way down, as you want it to when you're breaking in a pipe, or in this case, forming a new cake on a pipe that's been reamed to the point of showing bare wood. And yes, I emptied out the ash, and I allowed this to cool, and it's been cooling for almost 20 minutes now. That's important. You never want to take apart a pipe when it's hot, because you run the risk of causing all sorts of problems with the mortise to tenon fitting here, and also you can break it. So I'm going to disassemble this now and just see how this filter has fared. And oh my, it is actually quite blackened. Let me see if I can fix the focus here. Well, that's about the best I'm going to get, I suppose. Haven't learned everything about this new camera. It is definitely blackened, and a bit wet. Yeah, so that seems to have done its job. I mean, it trapped quite a bit. You can see the tube is all tarred up. The smoke was actually, sorry, that's a bit unpleasant to look at, frankly. The smoke actually was very dry, to the point that I was picking up flavors in that tobacco that I had not previously. Well, I've noticed them, but I haven't really noticed them as being very prominent. It was an interesting experience. The draw, as I said, was a bit restricted feeling, and honestly, I don't know that I would continue to use it as intended. Mostly because, knowing me, I'm going to be lazy about finding a new pipe cleaner and putting it in there every time. But if I don't smoke it that often, maybe I'll as I clean it, I'll just try to remember to replace it and have it at the ready. So it's not. It was never intended to be a permanent part of my rotation. It's a nice pipe. I think it's an interesting sort of pipe artifact in that it's an LL Bean pipe. So I'll put it on the rack and bring it out once in a while to enjoy. But yeah, it's just a neat little smoking system in there, and surprisingly effective. The one thing I'll say is that there was an unusual flavor coming through, and at first I thought maybe that was just the Carter Hall topping, which I was getting in more quantities than I usually get with other pipes. But as time went on, I was able to realize that it was really something off. It was not a tobacco flavor or a chemical additive flavoring. It was almost like something burning, and it didn't quite taste like briar either. So I'm wondering if some of the end of that pipe cleaner might have been carbonizing just from the heat and burning and giving off a little bit of unusual smoke. I didn't like that. I'm fairly sensitive to those off flavors, which is one of the reasons why I don't smoke a lot of aromatics, because when I smoke the aromatics, I don't so much taste the flavor that's intended, but I taste the vehicle that's used for the flavoring. So that chemical taste is always quite strong to me. I also don't drink flavored coffees or anything like that for the same reason. I don't get the flavor that's intended. I get the sort of background stuff that you're not supposed to taste. But anyway, I really enjoyed restoring that pipe. I hope you had a good time watching along and hopefully learned a thing or two about either restoring pipes if you'd like to get into the hobby, or just maintaining your own pipes. And hopefully you enjoyed learning a bit about the LL Bean pipe and the Smokemaster system. So I'm going to sign off now. It's been nice talking to you. I really appreciate you stopping by to view, and feel free to comment. I'd love to hear what you think about this. If you'd like to try one of these pipes, if you think it's all a bunch of marketing nonsense that fortunately has passed by the wayside long ago, just let me know. I'd love to hear from you all. So take care, and I will look forward to seeing you again soon.